Hi everyone. So as you've seen, class is canceled tomorrow due to air conditioning problems on campus that they're working on. So instead of meeting, I'm going to post this video and you guys can kind of just work through it at your own pace. So this was our agenda for the day. I did want to go over any questions on your reading log or on your readings. So if you have any questions on anything, please feel free to email me. You can also kind of jot down your question and ask it when we are hopefully back in class on Thursday. I am going to go over MLA tutorial number 1, which is due on Monday, so you'll have about a week to complete it. I'm going to show you the academic writing video, where to access the link so you can watch that video. We'll talk about our optional notes organizer to help get you started on gathering research for our first synthesis paper. We'll talk about your first assignment that's due for this paper, which is the topic selection worksheet. And we're going to start to research. So we are going to be searching our field of interest, industry, and occupations on Google, on a database called First Research, and on a job searching tool that we have through PVCC called ONET. So that's kind of the things we're going to be doing today. So one of the first things that I want to cover is our MLA tutorial number 1. This is located in week 2 overview. This is due next Monday. The purpose of this assignment is just to help you format your essays correctly. So your directions are in the assignment. Step 1 is to watch the video, and I walk you through how to enable all of the features that you need to on a Word document to be formatted correctly. So I walk you through how to space, how to insert a header, how to insert page numbers, how to do a hanging indent, all the things that you need to do to format correctly. At the bottom of the assignment, down all the way at the bottom, you're going to see a document. You're going to open it up, and it is a fake essay. And all you have to do is edit the document to follow all the aspects of MLA formatting. So you're going to have to do a first page header, a running header, double spacing, 1-inch margins, font. You're going to do a centered essay title. All of these things you have to apply to the document. You don't need to type anything new. You're not writing your own essay, nothing like that. Just open this document and format it correctly like the video shows you. Okay? If you have any questions on that, let me know. This assignment is due next Monday. Okay? All right, this is your academic writing video. This is just kind of going to go over the basics of what is academic writing, what does that term mean, what's involved in academic writing, and kind of the process of it. How do you start and move through the process of writing? So I would like you to watch it, so please do take a second and click on the link and kind of see the process that we'll be going through with this first essay. I did want to remind you of our synthesis paper sections, and sorry the top's cut off there a little bit, but remember that our major sections that we're going to start to kind of learn about today as we begin our research process is our first section is that background information. What's the history of your market? And in all honesty, you're probably going to find your sources for that on Google. And we'll talk a little bit more today about what a valid source is. B, C, and D, major companies, career opportunities, and future stability, are all going to probably be found in the next few resources I'm going to show you today and Thursday. So remember, we want to look for major companies that have pushed this industry forward. This could be, one that kind of started this industry off, and then this could be kind of the progression of 2 or 3 more companies that have moved it through time. For career opportunities, remember you want to provide at least 5 different career options in this market. That could be different career opportunities, or that could also be leveled career opportunities. So entry level to senior management, those would be different career options to kind of show where you could go. And then lastly, we have future stability and outlook of the market. One of the databases I'm going to show you today actually does have a future section where it does make some predictions about the future of that market that you can kind of look to. But I just wanted to remind you guys of the sections so that way as we're researching, you can kind of start to come up with research for all of this. I have also provided in week 2 this optional background notes and discoveries organizer. It's a little link here in our week 2. Okay, so if you look at Canvas on week 2, and then go down to optional background notes and discoveries organizer. This is optional. You can see that it's just a file. It's not an assignment. And what it looks like is this. And this is just a helpful notes organizer. So as you are going through the 3 different sources or search engines I'm going to direct you to today, you can also be kind of taking down notes. So if you find something that you think you're going to want to use in one of these sections of the essay, you can kind of make that comment. So I have the same sections: historical information, major companies, career options, and future stability. You can kind of make a note of what information you found and then where you found it. So you can go back to that source when you're going to outline and write this paper. You've already got a good start to your research. So again, this is just optional because we are covering 3 different search engines today. I wanted you guys to have something to help you organize if you want to do it. So you can click on it here. You can fill it out on the computer. You could print it. I will not be collecting it. It is not an assignment. It's just a file, and it is optional just for you if you would like to organize your ideas, especially so you don't have to go back and redo these searches, okay? All right, so what our goal is for today is just to begin to build background. We want to learn more about our topic. We want to make sure that we have enough background information about these 4 elements that we have to cover. So that way, when we go and start searching on the PVCC library and in certain databases, we have a variety of different search terms to punch into the computer to help us search. We also want to build our background knowledge as well. So, make sure that what we do know or what we think we know is out there in the world. So the first thing we're going to start with is Google. And I do want to talk a little bit about valid sources because we know that when we're searching the open internet, we might not always find a valid source. What you're looking at might not be great information to use at a college level paper. I'm only going to briefly talk about it today, and we will talk about it more throughout our research phases. The second one I'm going to show you is called First Research Database, which is a great source for jobs, your jobs section, your history or overview section, and your future trends section. And this would be a valid source to use in your paper. And then the last one is going to be ONET, which is, again, a great source for the jobs section and major companies section of the essay. And this, too, would be a valid source to use in your paper. Okay, so let's start with Google. You're going to start by kind of just Googling your topic. We're not really focused on getting research for the essay right now. We need to become experts on our topic so we can be better researchers and better writers on the topic. You do want to kind of differentiate as you're searching between your industry field, like education, and your specific job, like teacher. So you do want to kind of Google both. What's also nice about Google that's different from some of our search databases is that you can use more phrase-specific searches on Google. So like I could type in the history of teaching and see what comes up. And that's kind of where you want to start. When I Googled the history of education, these were kind of my first few sources that came up. So if we look at them, the first one is Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not a valid source for college level writing. But remember, right now, our goal is not to find valid sources, but it's just to help us learn more about the topic ourselves. So we can't 100% trust this information, but it's always a good place to start. So I would probably actually click on Wikipedia, going into that source knowing I can't use this in my paper, but it might give me some good background information that I can then go research in a valid source. Like here it says the first American schools in the 13 original colonies opened in the 17th century. Okay, I don't know if that fact is necessarily true because it is from Wikipedia, but I know that I can then go and Google that, right? There's now something further that I can Google or enter into the PVCC library and try to find a more valid source for. What's also nice about Wikipedia is at the bottom they have their reference list, so you can also peruse that and see if you have any valid sources in there. Okay, please also look at the rest of them. Here we have a .org, which means that it's an organization putting out the information. Those are usually more trustworthy sources, but again, we'd want to look at what is this organization. For example, this one's labeled blog. So that might not be a very good source. Who's blogging? Who's the blogger? Okay. Then we have .gov. That means it's a governmental source, which is probably a good place to use. .coms really want to be avoided. And then again, we have that word blog, which is something we want to avoid. And then again, we have another .com. So I would question all of those things. If you're lucky, maybe the History Channel will come up, which is great. PBS is another great one for it. And then occasionally you'll get in .edu, which is an education source. And usually those are trustworthy as well. You just have to look at what is that source that's putting it out. But again, right now we're just looking to learn about our topic. These aren't necessarily sources that you're going to use in your paper because we can only use trustworthy sources in our paper. But right now our goal is just to learn. We want to know the history of the topic, and that's something that we've got to just kind of build our background on. When we go to write that section in the paper, you're going to have to do some separate searches where you find valid sources to back up this information that you're learning here, because we want to make sure that what we're including is valid, trustworthy information. Our next option that we're going to be searching is a database called First Research. What's nice about this one is it does give you an industry overview, which is going to include some really great historical information that you'll be able to use in your essay. It also has this left-hand column that has the industry forecast, critical issues and business trends, and then industry opportunities. So those are, I mean, you can click on all of them, but those are some of the main ones. Industry forecast and business challenges and trends will be really good places to find information about that last section, the future of the market. Critical issues will be really helpful as we enter the proposal paper, our second paper. And then industry opportunities is going to be focused on jobs. So those are all really good things. The other thing that this does is it also provides you these two codes. The NAICS code is the federal census data relating to that business. And then the SIC code is every company will have it. And it's kind of the main line or bigger umbrella that this industry falls under. And so those are really good codes to have because you can actually search them and find out other companies or other related fields. And that might help you in some of the job or industry background information if you're struggling to find that information. So I just wanted to point those out. So that's kind of where we're going to start. I'm going to quickly show you how to access it. I put this link in the PowerPoint, which I've attached to announcements. It's also in your week 2 overview. So we're going to click on it and we're going to go to our First Research database. Okay, so we're here. We're going to click on First Research. We're going to click on Submit. It's just telling you what this database is. So we'll click on Submit, and this takes you to it. So from here, again, you want to kind of play with your search term. I could type in education, or I could type in teaching. And then from there, I can search, and it will take me to the industry profile. So then I can go for education and training. I can go into the education sector. I can go into public schools. I can go into childcare services, colleges and universities, private K-12 schools, community colleges. You've got to kind of figure out how specific or where do you want to go. So maybe I just want to go public K-12 schools. So I'll click on the certain section I want to go on, and then this will take me to that page that I just showed you in the PowerPoint that I was just on. Sorry, I'm having loading problems. But this is where you'll have your industry overview. You'll have that side column I just talked about, and you've got a good starting place to begin your research. Okay, so that's First Research database. Again, you just want to learn about your topic, use that organizer to take some notes and pull out some facts that you think you might want to use in your essay. If you need to, be sure to go back to the synthesis paper instructions. And remember, look through what I'm asking you to write about so you can find what information you need to pull out. Okay, so that's First Research. The next one I'm going to show you is ONET, which is an occupation website. So here is your link. Maybe that's not going to let me go there. 1 second. Sorry, I wasn't hyperlinked. All right, so once you're here, same thing. You can play with your search terms. You could type in teacher, you could type in education. You can play with whatever you would like. So I'll do teacher for this one. Then from there, I can pick which kind of teacher I'm looking into maybe going into, which occupation am I really going into. So middle school, career technical, English language literature teachers. So once you're there, you then have different options on how specific you want to go. So these are like the tasks of the job, technology skills that you might need. So remember that this is part